Hello everyone, this is another session about using metrics in medical affairs. But this time I will be speaking to the leaders and managers of the field medical teams. In other words, the managers of MSLs. Because when managers use the right metrics wisely, they can turn those metrics into powerful tools that can reward best practices, celebrate the impact, and also address any performance challenges in a fair and constructive way. When we talk about building coherent and successful teams, everything begins with the leaders guiding those teams. And one of the most important responsibilities of leadership is choosing and applying KPIs for performance metrics that not only drive success but also highlight the contribution of every individual member in the team. If metrics are used correctly, you set your team to grow, to excel, and to feel confident in the value they bring to the organization. And also the opposite is true. When metrics are unclear or inconsistent or misaligned, they can unintentionally become barriers that limit the progress and hold people back from reaching their full potential. That's why when we discuss the best use of metrics for managers in the medical affairs field, there are several important strategies to consider. Strategies that help you as a manager to reward excellence, guide development, and also elevate the overall impact of your team. So now, let's walk through those 10 practical strategies that every medical affairs manager or leader can use to turn metrics into a powerful leadership tool. One that can really reward strong performance and build confidence and help you as a leader to support your colleagues who may be struggling. The first strategy for managers is to use metrics throughout the year, not only at the appraisal time. And this is one of the biggest shifts you can make as a manager. It's to bring metrics into everyday communication rather than saving them for the year end. When you reference metrics, for example, in your one-to-one meetings with your team, your monthly updates, your internal presentations, and probably coaching discussions, you are not only helping the team to achieve their goals, but also you are helping them to showcase the productivity and the scientific impact on a continuous basis. For example, highlighting how many actionable insights were generated last month in your internal communication, or another example, how engagement quality improved across a particular therapeutic area, helps you to position your team as a high-value contributors. And for your MSLs, it reinforces their success while giving them clear direction all the year long. The second strategy is to set quantitative targets that allow your MSLs to overachieve, not only to achieve. As you know, nowadays, the most beneficial aspect of quantitative metrics is to inspire excellence, not to limit it. So as a manager, you have to use these quantitative metrics to leverage this opportunity and inspire your team, but the question is, how can you do that? Let me share with you my thoughts. For example, if you know a team member can comfortably deliver 10 educational webinars in a quarter, so ask them to set the quantitative objective at 8, not at 10. This will give them the space to go beyond the target and feel the energy of overachievement. In fact, being able to exceed expectations boosts morale, strengthens motivation, and gives you powerful evidence to take to the leadership when showcasing that the team has a full impact. On the other hand, if quantitative metrics are set too high, the opposite happens. People feel punished rather than empowered. That's to say that well-designed metrics create a room for excellence. The third strategy is to balance quantitative and qualitative metrics for every single member in your team. We know that some colleagues naturally gravitate toward quantitative targets because they show how busy they are, and as I mentioned before, because they are easier. But we all know that it is not about being busy. It's about delivering impact, delivering scientific value. So if an MSL includes only quantitative objectives in his goals, while others in the same team include both quantitative and qualitative, like this, you unintentionally create imbalance. Because everyone in the team must have equal opportunity to demonstrate strategic impact. Everyone must use both quantitative and qualitative metrics evenly. For example, qualitative metrics such as quality of insights, strategic alignment of engagements, or quality of cross-functional communication. These type of metrics allow individuals with strong scientific depth to shine, even if their activity volume is lower. So balancing the two for everyone in the team ensures fairness and clarity. Strategy number 4 is to track and monitor every metric regularly. This is also very important because metrics cannot be set once in the beginning of the year and then forgotten. Monitoring process throughout the year helps you to identify strengths early, address gaps before they grow into issues, and guide your team with confidence. And this can be as simple as quarterly reviews of engagement quality, tracking development of scientific materials, or even analyzing the trends in the key opinion leader insights. Regular monitoring keeps your team focused, prevents surprises, and allows you to support your colleagues with the specific coaching they may need. The 5th strategy is about underperformance. When managing underperformance, keep your strategy always to rely on metrics, not feelings. Of course, underperformance is one of the most challenging areas of leadership, but metrics bring clarity to these conversations and probably make it easier. Instead of relying on vague impressions, you can point to concrete observations, like, for example, number of insights that were not approved or submitted, low engagement quality according to certain score, lack of preparation, missed timelines, or weak internal communication based on feedback. Let me share with you a clearer example. Instead of saying, "It seems like you are not performing well," you can say, "Over the last 3 months, the engagements documented do not reflect the scientific depth expected in your role. Let's review how to strengthen this together." That is to say, using clear metrics transform a difficult conversation to a supportive, evidence-based discussion. Another example, if you want to say to a colleague, "I see that your work this month is not as good as last month. What did you do here?" All what you did is that you just confused the colleague, send him home, and he will wonder why you are feeling this way. And maybe spend days trying to figure out what did he do to upset you or give you that impression. So instead of saying this, you can say, "This month, your key opinion leader engagements is 10% less than last month." And if you combine this with a smile, you have actually motivated the colleague who now understand what you are expecting and what they need to do year end. Strategy number 6 is to never surprise your team at the end of the year. Nothing demotivates a colleague more than hearing during appraisal time that they didn't achieve their goals without receiving guidance throughout the year. As a leader, your responsibility is to have a continuous dialogue. You help them understand where they stand, what is expected, and what adjustments are needed. For example, if colleagues' insights are not meeting expectations in quarter 1, you have to discuss it immediately, coach them now, and realign their actions. Don't wait till November. So this strategy is about no surprises, provide only guidance, clarity, and support all the year long. The 7th strategy is to define and unify the tools that measure qualitative metrics for every member in your team. Qualitative metrics require clear, consistent measurement tools to ensure fairness and compliance. Whether you are evaluating engagement quality, internal communication, or even cross-functional collaboration, you need structured tools such as feedback forms, post-event evaluation survey, scoring criteria for scientific educational sessions, structured insight assessment templates, and so on. For example, after a medical education session, using the same evaluation tool for all the MSLs in your team ensures that everyone is assessed with the same level of objectivity. And here you have to do three things. First, to agree on these tools in the beginning of the year or the performance cycle. Also, you have to help the team to include those metrics that the leadership are interested in, not any metrics to assess the quality. And remember also that consistency builds trust and protects compliance. Strategy number 8 is to use metrics to tell a compelling internal story about your team. As we discussed before, metrics are not only for performance reviews, they are storytelling tools. And yes, they are strong storytelling tools. When you present the qualitative and quantitative metrics regularly and consistently to your leadership team, you are actually shaping the perception of your entire medical affairs function and your team. For example, showing how engagement quality improved by 30% or how insights contributed to refining the strategy. These position you and your team as a strategic partner than just a supportive function. Metrics elevate visibility, and visibility builds credibility. Remember this. The 9th strategy is to use metrics to support personal development, not just for evaluation. And here I can say that metrics should not be seen as judgment tools or punishment tools. They should be learning tools. For every MSL, metrics can reveal strengths to build on and skill gaps to develop. If someone excels in scientific discussions, for example, but struggles with internal communication, that metric guides their development plan. If someone has high activity but low insights quality, this metric points that there is a need for deeper preparation or coaching, for example. Metrics also helps tailor your training, mentoring, and growth opportunities. Moreover, I think that metrics can be used as important indicators during job interviews and colleagues' assessments. And they can make a very strong case with human resources to provide the rationale for developing one colleague in your team as an example. In other words, as a manager, metrics are your best friends as long as you are managing others. The 10th and last strategy we will discuss today is to align all metrics to the medical strategy in order to keep the team focused on what matters. Yes, everyone should avoid including metrics that they like. We have to include metrics that our organizations like, because metrics lose their value if they are disconnected or deviated from the main strategy. And as a team leader, you have to ensure that the metrics included in the objectives of everyone in your team reflect the strategic priorities of the organization. Like this, your team will know exactly where to focus and why. For example, if a medical strategy prioritizes a new indication, metrics should reflect engagement quality in that particular indication, in the insights collected, and in the contribution to cross-functional planning. Aligned metrics prevent wasted effort and ensure that every action contributes to the bigger picture. So, ladies and gentlemen, when managers use metrics with intention, they are no longer numbers. They are leadership language, leadership tools. One language that can reward excellence, support growth, drive clarity, and also build a culture of fairness and accountability. With these 10 strategies, you can help your team thrive, speak the same language, showcase their scientific impact, and advance the overall success of the medical department. Thank you for joining me today, and I will leave a link to an infographic gathering all these strategies in one document for your reference later on. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.